Makinig, manood, nasa teleradyo. Makinig, manood, nasa teleradyo. Teleradyo, teleradyo Marcelo. Sa gitna ng mapanubok na panahon, magkahatid sa kaakibat ay diskusyon. Sama-sama tayo, kahit magkalayo. Sa programang ito, tiyak ang pagkatuto. Teleradyo, teleradyo Marcelo. Teleradyo, teleradyo Marcelo. Teleradyo, teleradyo Marcelo.
And we're back. So we're sorry for some technical problems. Let's just repeat how we solved the problem earlier. So again, we're going to have 5,000 at the end of each year for 5 years. So we're going to compute first for the compound interest of each 5,000 for each year. So there's going to be the formula for the compound interest that we had last week. So that's F it is equal to P times 1 plus R raised to T, where F is the future value, P is the principal, R is the rate, and T is the time. So let's substitute the given. So P is 5,000 for the principal, and then we have 1 plus the given earlier is 7.5% interest rate for the Pag-ibig Savings MP2. So that's going to be in decimal 0.075. And then, the time in years will be 4 because there will be 4 years for the 5,000 to grow. Alright? So, what will be the answer for this one? So, get your calculators. Get your calculators and type in the chat box the answer for this one. Alright, so the answer here is 6,677 pesos and 35 centavos. Alright, next for year 2, we're going to have the same. So it's going to be 5,000 plus times 1 plus 0.075 raised to 3 because this time there's going to be 3 years for it to grow. So the answer here is 6,211 pesos and 48 centavos. Alright, so that will be the future value of the second 5,000 that you will invest. Next, for year 3. So for year 3, you're going to put another 5,000, but this time there will be 2 years for it to grow. So 1 plus 0.075 raised to 2. The answer here is 5,778 pesos and 13 centavos. Okay. And then year 4. Let's have the year 4. F is equal to 5,000 times 1 plus 0.075. So since this is already year 4, we're just going to have 1 year left for it to grow. So this will be raised to 1. And then we compute for this. The result will be 5,375 pesos. And finally, we have the year 5. So for year 5, we have 5,000 times 1 plus 0.075. Since this is already year 5, there will be no time for it to grow. You're just going to put literally 5,000 pesos in the bank. So this is going to be raised to 0. And as we all know, any number raised to 0 is equal to 1. So this is just going to be 5,000 times 1 or 5,000 pesos. Alright, so now to answer the question, what will be your balance in 5 years? We're simply going to add up all of this from year 1 to year 5. So on the comment box below, please answer what will be the product. Alright, so the answer just showed up. So the sum, if we're going to add all of this together, is 29,041 pesos and 96 centavos. Alright, so meaning if you're going to invest annually 5,000 every year for 5 years, it's going to be 29,041 pesos and 96 centavos in Pag-ibig MP2. Alright, so looking back in our previous topic, we have learned how to compute the future value of an investment if interest was compounded for a specific compounding period. But what if you do not have a big amount of money to start an investment? An alternative to that is a regular payment made at equal intervals. And this concept is what we call annuity. So, annuity is just like the example that we had earlier. So to better understand it, let's have some terminologies associated with annuity and its classifications. So let's define the important terms under annuity. For the first one, annuity. Okay, so it is a fixed amount of money paid to someone at regular intervals subject to a fixed compound interest rate. So meaning there will be a regular or a series of payments, investment, or it can also be a loan. Alright? Next, annuity is of two types according to duration. So that is annuity certain and annuity uncertain. So annuity certain is payable for a definite duration. So meaning it begins and ends on a definite or exact date. An example could be monthly payment for car loan. For example, car loans are payable for 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. So meaning there is a definite period wherein you're going to pay. So that's annuity certain. And of course, the opposite is annuity uncertain, wherein the annuity is payable for an indefinite duration. So it will be dependent on some certain event. An example is insurance, wherein, for example, you're just going to have to pay until you are living. And then you're going to stop paying once you are already dead. Alright, so that's annuity uncertain. But today, we're just going to have annuity certain, which is of two kinds according to payment interval and interest period. So these are simple annuity and general annuity. So simple annuity is an annuity wherein the interest conversion or compounding period is equal or the same as the payment interval. Alright, so the payment interval is the same with the interest period. That is simple annuity. For example, you are paying on a monthly basis, its interest will compound in a monthly basis. So that's simple annuity. And of course, the opposite is general annuity, wherein the interest conversion or compounding period is unequal or not the same as the payment interval. An example is if you are paying annually, but then the interest is growing on a monthly basis. So that's general annuity. And next, let's have the classifications of annuity based on time of payment. So we have 6 for this, 3 for each simple and compound annuity. So ordinary annuity, annuity due, and deferred annuity. So first is ordinary annuity. So this is an annuity in which the periodic payment is made at the end of each payment interval. So this is going to be, the payment will be at the end of each payment interval. For the next one, annuity due, it is an annuity in which the periodic payment is made at the beginning of each payment interval. So meaning you pay at the start or at the beginning. And of course, deferred is neither of the two. It's neither at the end or at the beginning, but at some later date. So it's going to be later date. If you're familiar with the concept of shop now, pay later, that is an example of a deferred annuity. Usually, it is applicable to credit cards. Alright? And then, we have general ordinary annuity. Under the general annuity, we have the first payment is made at the end of every payment interval. So the same with what we had. General ordinary annuity, the payment will be at the end. General annuity due, the payment will be at the beginning. And perpetuities, it is a series of periodic payments which are to run infinitely or forever, meaning you're going to pay forever. Alright? But today, our focus will be simple and general annuity. Alright? So, I want to check if you understand the differences between each type, kind, and classification of annuity. So what are we going to do in our next example is you're going to tell me what kind of annuity is it according to payment interval and interest period. So there will be just two options. It's the simple or general. So that will be our focus for today. Okay, so for this one, Charlotte is an athlete who expects her play career will last for 10 years. By the end of each quarter, she deposits 30,000 pesos for 10 years into an account that pays 5% compounded quarterly. After 10 years, how much does she have in her account? So is this a simple annuity or a general annuity? Which do you think is this one? So check if it is what is the compounding period and what is the payment period for this one. Okay, very good. Okay, very good, Ocampo and Elijah and Luis. So the answer is simple annuity. Okay, let's have the next one. Fenty began depositing 2,500 pesos monthly in a fund that paying quarterly compounded interest of 3%. After 10 years, what will be her fund value? So is this a general or a simple annuity? Type in your answer in the comment box. So take note, the payment is monthly basis, and the compounding period is quarterly. Okay, very good. So this one is general annuity. Okay, so why general? Because of course, its compounding period is different from its payment period. Okay, so now, okay, very good, Santina, Daniel, and Aaron again. Okay, so seeing that most annuities require fairly small regular payment and longer periods of time, investing has been made possible for the ordinary people like us. When longer periods of time are involved, the process we have undertaken in the sample problem would be rather tedious and time-consuming. Thus, the formulas are necessary to simplify calculations of the future value as well as the present value of annuity. But now let us define first what is future value for the simple ordinary annuity. Future value of an annuity is a measure of how much a sequence of regular payments given a fixed interest rate will be worth at some time in the future. Alright? So meaning this will be the amount of what you are investing today in the future. That is future value. And the formula for this one is F is equal to R times 1 plus J quantity raised to N minus 1 all over J, wherein F is of course the future value, R is the regular payment, J is the interest rate per period, and N is the total number of conversion periods. And then, this is the formula if we're going to have annual compounding interest. So if it's not, it's going to be annual rate divided by total conversion period for letter J. So that's what's going to be used for letter J, annual rate divided by the total conversion period. Meaning, if it's going to be compounded on a monthly basis, RM, or the denominator, will be 12. It is compounded quarterly, RM will be 4. So like that. And then we have N as M times T, wherein M is total conversion period and T is the time in years. Alright? So let's have the first example that we had a while. So let's try to use this, the situation that you had earlier, in using the formula rather. So, Pag-ibig MP2 Savings Program offers 7.5% interest compounded annually. If you have decided to invest 5,000 at the end of each year for the next 5 years, then your total payment is 25,000 pesos. What will be your balance in 5 years? So, sorry, this is 25,000. Okay, so let's use the formula and check if it's going to be the same. Okay, so the formula again is F is equal to R times 1 plus J quantity raised to N minus 1 all over J. Alright, so let's identify the given. What is crucial in this part, in this business mathematics, is to identify each given. Alright, because we already have the formula, we're just going to substitute it. So what's crucial is really identifying or analyzing each given. Okay, from the given here, again, R is the regular payment. So if you're going to invest 5,000 annually, that will be our letter R. So R is 5,000 pesos. And then, let's have letter J. So letter J is again the interest. So this is 7.5% interest compounded annually. So J is equal to 7.5%, which we convert it into decimal. That will be 0.075. Okay? And then, finally, let's have our N. Okay, where N is, again, M times T, or the compounding period times the time in years. Since it will be compounded annually, our compounding period is just 1. And then, it's going to be 5 years in investment, so times 5. So, our N is equal to 5. So, we're ready now to substitute the given. Okay? So, let's solve for F. So, it's going to be 5,000 times 1 plus our J is 0.075, quantity raised to N, which is 5, minus 1 all over J, 0.075. Okay, now on the comment box, who can tell me what is the answer for this one? Okay, so the answer for this is very good, Kat. So the answer for this is, of course, it has to be the same with the example that we had earlier. The answer will be 29,041 pesos and 96 centavos. So that will be our future value. So meaning, the process that we had earlier is correct, and so is this formula that we have used. Alright? So therefore, your 5,000 annual investment for 5 years at 7.5% interest compounded annually will become 29,000. Meaning, you're going to earn 4,041 pesos and 96 centavos at the end of 5 years without you doing anything. That is what investing can do to your money. Alright? So, now I asked you a while ago if the return of investment is going to be higher or lower, right? So, let's compare it with the compound interest. So, if there will be a compound interest, so that's going to be an initial payment of 25,000 pesos at the beginning of first year. So, let's compare it. Alright? So, if we have the compound interest, that's going to be F equals principal times 1 plus the rate raised to time. So, I will just rewrite it. F equals P times 1 plus R raised to time. So this is the compound interest. And take note, we can only use the compound interest if we have all the initial payment at the beginning. Alright? So meaning there will be no regular payments. So if there will be no regular payments, that will be 5,000 times 5 years. That's going to be 25,000 pesos for our principal times 1 plus the rate, which is 0.075. And then our time for investment is, of course, 5 years. So if we're going to calculate it, the result will be 35,890 pesos and 73 centavos. Alright? Meaning, if you're going to have a bigger initial investment, it will acquire, most likely, will acquire a bigger interest or return of investment. Alright? But that is not a problem if you really badly want to invest, because at least here, you earned 4,000 already. Okay? So, that's an easy one, right? So, it will be easier if you both know and understand the formula you are using. So, hold on to this formula because you're going to use it for quite a while. Alright? So, for more example of this simple ordinary annuity of future value, you can check out our Google Classroom. And so, let's move on to our present value of simple ordinary annuity. So, present value, when we say present value, it measures how much cash will be needed to make a sequence of payments in the future, again, assuming a fixed interest rate. Meaning, present value is the value that you should have currently so that it can grow an approximate amount in the future. Or in other words, we can call it the principal amount. Okay? So, present value has this formula. P equals R times 1 minus 1 plus J raised to negative N all over J. Where P is the present value, R is the regular payment, J is the interest rate per period, and of course, N is the number of conversion periods. Again, this formula is applicable if our compounding period is annual. If not, we can use this for J and for N. RJ is annual rate divided by total conversion period, and Rn is total conversion period times the time in years. So, it's just the same with the future value. Okay, so let's try this one. Limuel borrows cash from the bank to purchase a second-hand car. He will repay the loan by making month-to-month installment of 10,887 pesos and 18 centavos per month for the following 36 months at an interest rate of 8.4% per year, compounded monthly. How much did Limuel borrow and how much interest did Limuel pay? Alright, so this kind of question is a present value situation because it is being asked how much did Limuel borrow. Okay, given that he is paying this amount on a regular basis. Okay, so let's analyze. Again, the formula for present value is P is equal to the rate, or the regular payment rather, times 1 minus 1 plus J, which is the annual interest rate, raised to negative N, all over J. Okay, so let's identify each given. So, the regular payment R will be 10,887 pesos and 18 centavos. Okay? And then, we have our annual rate J. But this time, since it is compounded monthly, therefore, we have to divide the annual rate, 8.4%, by 12 for dividing it in a monthly period. Okay, so 8.4 will be 0.084 in decimal, divided by 12 because it will be compounded monthly. So the answer here will be 0.007. Alright, you can verify it using your calculator. And then let's have N. So our N is again conversion period times the time. Okay, so our conversion period is 12 because it is monthly. And then the time is 3. So actually for this one, you may skip this because it is already said that it's going to be paid on 36 months. Alright? So meaning this is going to be 36. Okay, so now we're ready to substitute. So if you already have your answers, you can now write it in the chat box while I am writing the substitution. Okay, so it's going to be 10,887 pesos and 18 centavos times 1 minus 1 plus 0.007 raised to negative n. Our n is 36, so negative 36. All over j, 0.007. So what is the answer? The question is, how much did Lemuel borrow? Meaning we're looking for the present value. Therefore, the present value is, let's check who got it correctly. Okay, very good, Natalie, Mustoles, Russell, and Daniel. So the answer here is 345,392 pesos and 8 centavos. Alright, so that is our present value. Meaning we have answered the first question. Let's have the second one, which is how much interest does Lemuel pay? So of course, we're just going to subtract the present value from the future value. So the future value here will be the total number of payment period times their regular payment. So that's going to be 10,887.18 times 36 months. So meaning how much will be the total that is going to pay? It's going to be 10,887.18 times 36. So this will give us, alright, so I've seen it on the chat box. So this is 391,938 pesos and 48 centavos. And then we subtract here the present value that we have obtained, this one. So minus 345,392 pesos and 8 centavos. Which will give us, okay, so tell me in the comment box what is the difference for this. Okay, very good, Russell, James, Balastige. The answer is 46,546.4 pesos. Therefore, this is the interest. Alright? 345,000 is the present value and 46,000 was the interest that Lemuel paid. Alright, so it's kind of easy, guys, right? So again, check out our Google Classroom for more examples on this kind of problem. So during our discussion a while ago, we have described general annuity of having an interest conversion or compounding period which is unequal or not the same as the payment interval. So this can better be understood in symbols. So for general annuity, we have this formula. So we denote general annuity, the future value of it as F sub G. So F sub G is equal to R times 1 over J, quantity raised to N, minus 1 all over 1 plus J raised to B minus 1. Wherein F sub G is the future value of the general ordinary annuity, R is the regular payment, J is the interest rate per period, and N is the total number of conversion period. Okay. So again, RJ, we have a new variable here. As you can see, we have the variable B. So what is that? So RB now here represents the number of months in a payment interval divided by the number of months in a compounding period. Alright, so we have, so in this case, we're going to have different payment interval and different compounding period. So we're just going to get the ratio of the two. That will be for B. And then the same with J as we had earlier. J is annual rate divided by the number of conversion period, and N is number of conversion period times the time in years. Okay, let's have an example. But before we had an example, let's have first the formula for the present value. So this is the formula for the present value. So you can, guys, take a screenshot of all of our formula because these are vital on the discussion. So the present value for general annuity is equal to R times 1 minus 1 plus J, quantity raised to negative N, all over 1 plus J, quantity raised to B minus 1. Wherein P sub G is the present value of ordinary annuity, R is the regular payment, and J is the interest rate per period. Of course, and N is the total number of conversion period. Again, let's have the example. So this time, I want you to determine what is being asked in the problem. Is it the present value or the future value? So be ready on our FB Live, alright? So here's the problem. Andy is investing 2,000 per month in a cooperative that pays 4.5% interest compounded annually. What will be his balance in his account after 20 years? Alright, so I want you to answer the question which is being asked. Is it the present value or the future value? Okay, correct. So we're going to look for the future value. That's correct, Christine Ansurio. So, meaning we're going to use the formula for the future value of general annuity. Okay, for the general annuity, again, formula is F sub G is equal to R times 1 plus J, quantity raised to N minus 1 divided by 1 plus J, 1 plus J, quantity raised to B minus 1. Alright, then let's identify the given. Alright, so the regular payment will be 2,000, which will be per month. Okay, in a cooperative that pays 4.5% interest compounded annually. So, 4.5 compounding annually. So, meaning RJ will be 4.5% itself or 0.045. We don't have to divide it anymore because it will be compounded annually. And then our N is... So we have here annual compounding for 20 years, meaning it's going to be 20 years times 1. So that's simply 20. Okay, and then the last one is the variable B, which is the months in a payment interval divided by the months in compounding period. So of course, it will be paid per month. So how many months do we have in 1 month? Basically, we just have 1. And then we divide it by the number of compounding period. So if it will be compounded annually, how many months do we have in 1 year? So we have 12 months. And then we convert it into decimal so we can solve it easier. If we're going to substitute it, this will be 0.0833. So approximately, this will be approximately 0.0833. And then, again, we substitute it. So if you have your answer now, you can type it in the chat box. Alright? Or in the comment box, rather. Okay, so I will substitute the given. This is going to be F sub G is equal to 2,000 times 1 plus RJ is 0.045. 0.045 quantity raised to N. Our N is 20 minus 1 divided by 1 plus 0.045 raised to b. Our b is 0.0833, although in calculator, you can actually put this 1 over 12. Alright, 1 over 12 to get a more precise answer. And then we have minus 1. Alright, so what is the answer for this one? Okay, very good. We have from Ronaldo Salcedo, Zyrel. Maybe you have entered something wrong in your calculator, so try again. We have correct answers from Ronaldo, Charles, and Elijah. Alright, very good. So the answer here will be 768,319.59. Alright, so that will be our future value for this one. That will be the balance. If you're going to pay 2,000 per month for 20 years at 4.5% interest, your money can become 768,319 pesos. So imagine how much it can grow if you're just going to save 2,000 per month, right? So let's have another one. Okay, so for this one, Genesis, a magna cum laude graduate of BS Accountancy, received job offers from two companies. The Marikit Company, which offers 350,000 pesos at the end of 4 years, plus 5,000 pesos lump sum at the end of 8 years. On the other hand, the Hackdog Company offers 45,000 pesos at the end of each quarter for the next 8 years. Assuming that the money is worth 7% compounded annually, which offer has a better market value? Alright, so what we are looking for here is which of these two offers have a better market value. Alright, if we're looking for a better market value, we are actually asked for the fair market value, which is the actual value of the money on the present time. Alright? So let's analyze it. To better understand it, let's use a diagram comparing the offer of Marikit versus the offer of Hackdog Company. Alright. So for Marikit, let's draw a timeline. Okay, for Marikit, we have here year 0, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to year 8. Alright, so this is year. Okay, so it was said that the Marikit Company offers 350,000 at the end of 4 years. So meaning at year 4, he's going to receive 350K at this point. And then, another 500,000 lump sum at the end of 8 years. Alright, so meaning at the end of year 8, that's going to be 500,000. Alright, so what are we going to find out here is the present value. How much is 350K 4 years from now, and how much is 500K 8 years from now? Alright, but let's illustrate the other one for the Hackdog Company. For the Hackdog Company, so let's draw a timeline. So it is said that they will give 45,000 at the end of each quarter for the next 8 years. Okay, so let's illustrate. So we have here quarterly payment. So it's going to be first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and so on, up to the last quarter, which is actually, since there will be 8 years of payment and it will be paid quarterly, it's going to be 8 times 4, 32. So there will be 32 total of quarterly payments that Genesis will receive. So each quarter, he's going to receive 45,000. Alright, 45,000. 45K up to the year, up to the 32nd quarter. 45K. Okay. So, we're going to compute which offer has a better market value, or in other words, which is more worth it for this. Okay? So, for the first one, let's have the Marikit Company's offer. So, for Marikit Company, since there will be no regular payment, we're simply going to compute for the present value using the compound interest formula. So, that's going to be, since the compound interest formula is F equals P times 1 plus R raised to T, so that means that the formula for the principal, we just have to derive it. That's going to be F divided by 1 plus R raised to T. Okay? And then there will be two present value here. Present value of 350K and present value of 500K. So we have the first one. So let's name it P sub 1 for the 350K. So 350,000 divided by 1 plus, the rate here is there, 7% compounded annually. So 0.07 raised to the time is, so it's going to be at the end of 4 years, so this will be raised to 4. Okay. There. So what will be the answer for this one? Who can give me the answer for our first present value? Okay, so the answer here is 267,013 pesos and 32 centavos. Alright, and then let's have now the present value of the 500,000. So let's name it P sub 2. Okay, so that's correct. Sinil, Shereen, and Pauline. So we have here 500,000. Okay, I want you to compute for the present value of 500,000 for the Marikit Company and type it in the chat box. So that's going to be 500,000 divided by 1 plus 0.07. This time, since it will be given at the end of 8 year, that means this will be raised to 8 for 8 years. The answer will be what? Okay, so I will wait for your answers. Okay, good. The answer here is 291,000, 4 pesos and 55 centavos. Okay, very good, Pauline. So, to get the fair market value, so fair market value or FMV, we're just going to add these two present values. So, that's going to be 267,013 pesos and 32 centavos plus 291,004 pesos and 55 centavos. So, please type in the chat box the sum of these two. Okay, good. So, the answer here is 558,000 pesos and 87 centavos. Alright? So, meaning, this is the present value of the offer of Marikit Company. What are we going to do is we're going to compare it with the present value of the offer of Hakdog Company. Okay, so let's have it. Since there will be a regular payment, we're just going to use annuity for this one. Okay. Alright, since it involves regular payment, which is quarterly, so it will be paid quarterly but with annual compounding interest at 7%, therefore, we're going to use the general annuity. Okay, so again, let's have the formula for the present value of general annuity. Okay, so this will be P sub G is equal to R times 1 minus 1 plus J raised to negative N all over 1 plus J raised to B minus 1. Right, I just write it properly. Okay, so there. So we're just going to substitute this given. Okay, first, our regular payment will be 45,000 quarterly. So that's R. We have here 45,000 pesos. And then, we have 1 minus quantity 1 plus J. Our J again is, or the interest rate is 7%. So this will be 0.07 raised to negative N. So our N for this one is 8 years. So that's going to be N. Okay, so 8 times 1. Okay, then divide it by 1. Divide it by 1 plus, again, our J is 0.07, raised to B. So this time, again, our B is the months in a payment interval divided by the months in a compounding period. So meaning, payment interval is quarterly, so there is going to be 3 months in each payment interval, and then the compounding period is annual, so that's going to be 3 over 12. Or in other words, that's going to be 1/4. So we can also write 1/4 here. So 1 over 4. Okay, and then we bring down minus 1. Okay, so again on the chat box, who can give me the answer for this one? What is the present value of the offer of Hotdog Company? So that will be 45,000 times 1 plus 0.7 raised to negative 8 all over 1 plus 0.07 raised to 1/4 minus 1. Okay, we have an answer from Gabriel, Marcelo, Ronaldo, and Sainil. So, they all got it correctly. This is 1,102,650 pesos and 45 centavos. Alright, so what does it imply? So on the comment box, please chat which offer has a better market value. Which offer has a better market value? Is it the offer of Marikit Company, which is 350,000 at the end of 4 years plus 500,000 at the end of 8 years, or the offer of Hotdog Company, which is quarterly payment of 45,000 for 8 years? Alright, very good, Kiel. So Kiel said it is the Hotdog Company. Alright, so take note of this. Therefore, the Hotdog Company has a better market value and is more preferable. Alright, why? Because it has a higher present value. So, what is the lesson for this one? Do not be deceived with the future value like this one, 350 and 500,000 versus the 45,000 quarterly payment of Hotdog Company. Because as you can see, just like how we computed for it, the offer of Hotdog is much better. So, you may encounter this in real life, especially when it comes to pension like that, if you're already an employee. So, be wise enough and take note of this compound interest and annuity. Alright? So, now that we have finished our discussion about simple and general annuity, let us have an activity to measure how much you have understood the lesson. So, let's have an activity. So, for the first part, you will identify the type of annuity that is best described in each given problem. So for the first two, we have this. You're going to tell me if it is simple or compound annuity. Just type it in the chat box. So the first one goes like this. Quarterly payments of 50,000 pesos for 6 years with interest rate of 8.25% compounded quarterly. So is that simple or general? And for the next one, semi-annual payment of 90,000 pesos for 11 years with interest rate of 11% compounded semi-annually. So are these two simple or general? Alright, Aero said it is simple, and so is Sinil, Kat, Aaron, and Sheena. Alright, so this one or these two are actually, yes, that's correct. So these are simple annuity. Alright, so why? Because we have the same payment period and compounding period. So this is semi-annual, semi-annual, quarterly, and quarterly. Next, what about this next one? Monthly payment of 1,000 for 2 years with interest rate of 3% compounded quarterly. And quarterly payment of 12,000 for 48 months with interest rate of 5.25% compounded annually. So is this simple or compound? Number 3 and number 4. Take note of this. Monthly payment and compounded quarterly. And on number 4, we have quarterly payment, which is compounded annually. Okay, so what is this? Is this simple or general annuity? Okay, so Joseph Mark Centeno said it's general. Also, Kat and Aaron. Okay, very good. These two are general annuities because they have different payment period and compounding period. Okay, now for the next one, let's have the application. So let's have your calculators. We have here this problem. Gina gets a loan of 95,000 pesos to start her business. She paid the loan with 5,000 pesos monthly installment for 2 years. If she was charged 15% interest compounded monthly, how much was the interest she paid? Alright, so try to answer this problem on your own. So of course, the first thing that you have to identify is if it is a general or a simple annuity. And then if you have identified if it is simple or general, then identify what is being asked. Shall it be the present value or the future value? And then finally, solve for the interest. Alright, so we have an answer from Kat Leoncio and Love Joshua. So their answer is 43,940 pesos and 42 centavos. Alright, very good because that is correct. Alright, so for your assignment, have your laptops or cell phones ready and capture the screenshot of the next slides. So again, submit your answer sheets in your respective Google Classroom. So these are your assignments. This is the first problem. Please take a screenshot. And then this is the second problem. So take a screenshot. So to wrap things up briefly by answering how can annuities help us with our lives, having huge savings in the bank is very common to average Filipinos. But this doesn't mean that our past shall dictate our future. The concept of annuities made us realize that you do not have to be crazy rich to start investing. So note on this, students, we take control on either we get better or we get worse. Everything is just a matter of choice. That will be all for today's discussion. Once again, this is Ma'am Queenie. And thank you for watching Teleradyo Marcelo, ang telearalan ng bawat Del Pilarian. See you!
Makinig, manood, nasa teleradyo. Makinig, manood, nasa teleradyo. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Sa gitna ng mapanubok na panahon, magkahatid sa kakibat ay diskusyon. Sama-sama tayo, kahit magkalayo. Sa programang ito, tiyak ang pagkatuto. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo.